Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. I am here at the legendary Sardi's, and I am sitting with one of the most innovative and in-demand choreographers, Camille A. Brown, whose fabulous work in Hell's Kitchen has garnered her a Tony nomination for Best Choreography. So we're right across the street from the Schubert Theater.
Yes.
Where your show is playing.
Yes.
Tell me what this Tony nomination means to you.
Oh my goodness, I am originally from Queens, New York, so to have this and to be acknowledged for this show, representing my hometown, being able to put all that I know on a stage, on a Broadway stage, and to be acknowledged for that, it feels amazing.
What is it like living in the world of Hell's Kitchen when you first found out that you were going to do this? Like, what unlocked this whole show for you?
Well, New York, I think tapping into who I am as an individual and what I grew up seeing. I took the subway when I started taking the subway when I was 13 years old. So I've always been an observer. I'm an only child, so I'm always observing, watching, listening. And it was really, what is the heartbeat? What is the rhythm? What is the vibe? What is the funk? What are all of the things that make up New York City that I can put on a Broadway stage and lift it up? And what are the many various dance genres that I can represent? Because there's not just one genre. I definitely wanted to represent hip hop because that's the culture. That's where that's what Ali is rooted in. You know, you see the graphics. She's wearing the FUBU shirt. It's orange. It's her. It's alive. And I really wanted to represent that on Broadway. And also various genres that I've been trained in: ballet, hip hop, modern, jazz, tap, ballet, African. It's all there. It's all those influences are there. And I think that the representation of the differences of the dances represent the differences of the people that walk New York City.
See, what I love about what you've done is you've given each of these characters their own feel too.
Thank you.
Their own dance style.
Thank you.
That was something you worked on very early on, right?
Oh,
with
yes,
this?
yes. Well, that's what I love doing. I love telling a story through the body and through the movement, and also tapping into the individual. It is about a group functioning and working together, but I think what makes a strong community are the small intricacies, the differences, the beautiful nuances. That's what it is, nuances that make up a community. And who are these different personalities? And really tapping into the individuals, the people that are stepping into these roles, and tapping into who they are as individuals and empowering them to bring that on stage.
Yeah. I also like what you've done is not only do all the characters move through that, but you actually make New York City dance in your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. When we walk through New York City or whatever we do in New York City, there's a pulse.
Yeah, there always is. I think if you expand it out, you'll see it moving. And it's just like when you're sitting listening to, I know it happens to me all the time if I'm listening to a train go by, da-da-da-doom. Yeah. There's always a rhythm. You can find a rhythm in New York City no matter where you're turning.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. If you walk down 45th Street, you get a rhythm.
Yeah.
If you're on Broadway, you feel a rhythm.
Yes.
If you're on the train.
Yes.
Yeah.
7th Avenue is different than 5th Avenue.
Interesting, I like that. So, did you know all the music first when you first started working on this?
So 4 of Alicia's songs are new for this show, so those I didn't know.
Yeah.
Of course, the obvious, and Empire, No One, you know, all of her greatest hits I did know. But I was really excited to also venture into the new ones like Kaleidoscope, which is so beautiful, so funky. Just really loved putting my stamp on it.
Talk about some of the different styles and some of those songs that you just mentioned.
Yeah, so I'll talk about gospel, the opening number. So this is when Ali introduces us to New York City and tells us how she feels trapped inside of her apartment and what it feels like to live in Manhattan Plaza and to live outside of Manhattan Plaza. So she's coming on with the FUBU shirt. She's defining herself as living within the hip hop culture. So it was really important for me to implement. I did a combination of step dance and hip hop in that opening dance break just to establish her life, how she sees it, represent the culture, lift that up, put that in a space, claim it as art because it is, and just celebrate who those people are.
I love that. Then you make Manhattan Plaza sing and dance too.
Yeah, they're moving. They're all moving, and that's what we are seeing through her eyes.
No, it's interesting because you know when you look at the work you've done in this show, it's sort of like This is how Allie sees these people
Yes.
too. It's like the thoughts are coming out of her mind,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and also sometimes it's coming out of other people's minds too. So for Gramercy Park, this is a moment where Nuck is talking to Allie and sharing his experiences of being a black man walking out in the street and what it feels like to be perceived versus who he knows himself to really be. So during the creation of that, I was in conversation with Chris Lee, who plays Nuck, and the other male dancers of color about what it means to be in a state of oppression and what it means to protest. And from there, I created movement that really highlights what those things are, because they are in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
And it's the ping-ponging of them. So it's not one thing where we're talking about protest and then we're talking about oppression. I'm actually going back and forth, and hopefully in your mind you see 2024, you see 1972, you see 1963, like you're constantly seeing this time travel within this one moment, because it is something that has occurred for a very long time.
Yeah. How much pre-production did you do with the musical staging and dances before you started rehearsals?
Pre-production. I think we did about a week or two of pre-production before. I'm talking about before the public theater, from the start of it. Yeah. So we had about 2 workshops, and then we went right into the public.
Because you use a lot of your own dancers, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is a very exciting time. So this is a beautiful hybrid, because they're dancers that have been on stage, that are on stage, like Tim Edwards, who I've known since 2008.
Yeah.
And then there are people like Nikki and Rachel, who I've learned about from this experience. So I think it's just a wonderful community of dancers that have known me for over 10 years, that are just learning about me, and it's just really beautiful. What you see on stage is who they are as people, just beautiful, powerful individuals.
No, because I love that, because like you said, there are people, your own dancers you have in the show, and then there are the new people that you added in. So I was wondering, you started to talk about that you choreograph for them. You have conversations with these actors during rehearsals.
Yes.
And you work on new stuff with them, right?
Well, yes, I have an idea. I always have ideas of what I want to do. And then depending on who comes in the room, what they're bringing, then I am choreographing to them. So this work is specific to those 8 dancers that we have in the show, because I have my choreographic idea, and I'm also thinking, how is this translating through this person's body specifically?
The audience's reaction to the show. Audiences fell in love with your show with the public, and they're falling in love with it all over again uptown. What's it like for you when you're in the house watching how this show affects people? Oh my goodness.
I am so nervous in the house.
Really?
Yes. 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 I think because you have your heart out in front of people.
Yeah.
And you're telling people, how I'm asking, how I just said during an audition, I'm showing people who they are. I'm showing people who I am through my choreography. And I used to get teased when I was younger for my voice. So to be able to now create movement and my voice is being heard in another way is very exciting.
Yeah.
But it's also very scary too. So to feel, and when you feel people, of course, it's the beauty and brilliance of Alicia's music, and when you see them almost like mimic what's happening on stage, or if people are talking to me about the show and they do like a gesture that they saw from the choreography, I'm just like, wow, you were really taking it in. Like, people are having really connected, deeply personal connections to this show, and it's fantastic to see. And the thing that I love is that people are walking away feeling like the dance is a character in the show, and that is so important to me, because dance does tell a story. It is a character, it is a language, it does speak, it is a script, it is a book, it is words. It's words done through the body.
Collaboration is very important.
Yes.
Talk about the beautiful collaboration you've had with your creatives on this.
Oh my goodness. Well, of course, Alicia and Chris and Michael. I mean, just wonderful powerhouses. I mean, you hear their names alone and you're like, oh my goodness. And just to be in the room and see how gracious and empowering and supportive all of them are, it was just really fantastic. And just to see them work, to be involved in the work, was really inspiring.
What did you learn from the show, from the public to Broadway?
I was focusing on, it's like layering a cake. I was focusing on the layering. It's like, okay, now I have a better understanding of the orchestrations. How can I get closer? How can I tighten certain beats, you know, that I felt like I can get to this sooner. I can get to this more sharper. How can I do that? So those are the things between the public and now that I was thinking about, the sharpening, the adding the nuances. What are more nuances? How can I really align with the music to the point where the music is dancing?
Got it. Where did your love for dancing begin? Was it from your family?
Yes, my mother and my father. They really loved dance. They still love dance today. My mom introduced me to musical theater when I was younger. We went to the library and got out all her favorite shows, and we would just watch them. And I would watch Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson videos, you know, everything. Yeah, Soul Train. I mean, I was watching everything. And like I said, I was teased, so dance was really a way for me to express myself and feel safe and not feel like I had to hide.
Yeah, because I've always asked dancers who became dancers or choreographers, like, what was it? What was that thing? Like, you know, there were singers who sing, and there were actors who act, and others that do everything, but there's something about the dance world. You know, when you're put into that first dance class, do you remember that first dance class and you were like, this is the world I want to live in?
I remember one of them, and I remember when my mom was leaving, and I said, "Oh my goodness, where is she going?" And I felt, and I believe it was a tap class, and I heard all of us like tapping and using our tap shoes and everything, and there was this fear, but there was also this excitement of what's going to happen. What is it? And just in terms of dance, as a dancer, I was always inspired by Ella Fitzgerald, who is a singer, and it's because of her range, like how she expanded her voice, how as high as she got, that's as low as she got, and the range was just so expansive that I wanted to do that as a dancer. And then, you know, when I wanted to choreograph, it was also just a further investigation of who I am as a person. Like now that I have taken in other choreographers and learned those dances, what do I want to say? How do I want to contribute to the space?
I never realized how few Black female choreographers there were and are.
Yes.
Does that amaze you when you look back? There's only a few of them.
I knew what I was walking into. I wanted to know. And when I was younger, and when I graduated I graduated college in 2001. And I started doing choreography, and immediately I thought, oh, well, I have to take an alias, kind of like the female writers used to do back in the day. Because I knew, and now, mind you, 20 years ago, I didn't know as much as I know now, but I knew enough to know that, wow, you're gonna have to work 20 times as hard. And so I remember when I did Once on This Island in 2017, I looked up all of the Black women who had come before me because I wanted to know whose shoulders I was standing on in order to do this. When I wanted to do this whole theater thing, because I have my own company, I've had my own company for over 15 years, I contacted Diane McIntyre and Marlise Yerby because they are both Black women, Black female director choreographers who have their own companies and who work in theater. So I wanted to know. So I'm constantly like reaching and looking and digging and finding and discovering and honoring.
No, because I looked at the list, some of you just mentioned them, but Debbie Allen, Hope Clark, Catherine Dunham, that's it, and the ones you mentioned.
Paula Moss.
Yeah,
Diane McIntyre.
Yeah,
Catherine Dunham, I think you said. Yes.
Just being nominated, what this means to you seriously, of just being a Black artist, a Black choreographer and director, what it means to you to have this nomination.
Yeah, representation. You know, to like I said, to know whose shoulders you're standing on and who came before you and who paved the way, and how much I can't imagine how much they had to go through, because there are things that I still have to go through.
Yeah.
So it's really an honoring, and you have to be aware. In order to walk this, I'm only the third Black woman in this category to have been nominated for a Tony Award. So you have to, in order to walk this path, you have to know who was in front of you.
Yeah. Well, going into that, you're getting to work with George C. Wolfe again.
Yes.
Now, you worked with him first where?
Ma Rainey.
Yeah.
Yes, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
How incredible was that with working with George on that?
Thrilling. George C. Wolfe is one of the reasons why I wanted to get into theater.
Yeah.
And to be in the room with him, it was just a masterclass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're getting ready to work with him again.
Yes.
Because it's been announced you're going to be doing the new production of Gypsy. With who starring in this?
Audra McDonald. Oh my goodness.
Did your head explode?
It did. It's still exploding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when you found out you were going to do this.
Oh my goodness.
This is one of your favorite shows, Gypsy, right?
It's one of my favorite shows. Like I told you, when
Yeah.
my mom, we would get Gypsy.
Yeah.
We would watch it.
Yeah.
I know all the routines. So
What would you do at home? Like, would you do a little
I would
bit?
do it all. Mazeppa. I would do it all. So, it's going to be a treat to actually, like, now
Yeah.
at 44, sit and work with George and Audra and put my own take on what this show is that I've known for over 40 years.
This is going to be great because you've played all these roles in your living room.
I've played all these roles. I'm ready.
Fabulous. Like I said, Hell's Kitchen is playing across the street at the Schubert.
Yes.
You're going to be down the street at the new Majestic Theater, the Gorgeous with Gypsy.
Yes.
Have you chosen your Tony outfit yet?
I have.
Now, without giving anything away, because I know you're like always so beautifully done up. Because
Thank
like you
you.
said, you live in sweats.
Yeah.
During the
Yes.
day, you're always so glammed when I see you.
Thank you.
Did you choose a few different dresses and you tried one on? You're like, oh, this is what I want to wear?
Yes, I chose a couple of dresses, and the people, my team said,
Yeah.
That's it. So I said, okay, this is it. And I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we cannot wait. But if you could just sum up the best part of the experience, literally we're staring at the marquee right across the street of Hell's Kitchen. If you could sum up the best part of the experience of working on that show, what's it been for you, Camille?
Wow. Empire, New York state of mind.
Then the doors of a theater
and then
open.
the doors of the theater open, and you hear that blasting in the street.
Yeah. I have known you for a long time. I'm so happy with what has happened to your career and everything else.
Thank you.
And just have the best time this Tony season.
Thank you. Thank you so much.